Welcome to our Friday oil drip chat. Today we've got some remedies for kids. So if you've been wondering if you can use your oils on little ones, how you can safely do it, which oils you might want to avoid, what else would you like to know? Maybe just some simple recipes or remedies or protocols, whatever you might call them, using essential oils. And we're going to talk through, as a parent of a little one, when they're feeling, under the weather. It's not something serious, but maybe someone else in the home has had a cold, and you can tell now that they're starting to act like they're crying more, they're a little more tired than normal. You can pick up on those cues that maybe somebody else wouldn't, and you know that they're not feeling well. So in doing that, that's when you reach for your oils. It's not for something where you should be taking them to a pediatrician to get their recommendation. I think Linda's here. We did it, Linda, you're on.
Yes.
Well, good. So I just started explaining that we're going to talk about oils and little ones today, and some different remedies and different protocols. And then just what I was saying, that is, as a parent, you would recognize first on a small child, one that probably couldn't say, I don't feel good. You could probably recognize that they're crankier than normal, or that they've been tugging at their ears, or their nose is running more. Like, you pick up on those cues as a parent. You just know. Whereas if they're around a stranger, they might just think, oh, your kid's acting up. What's going on with it today? But and those are the times when you can reach for your oils and try to help them. But if it's something serious and you feel that in your gut, like, this has been going on for multiple days, I need to get to the pediatrician, then that's what you do, right?
Right.
Yeah. So the one remedy or protocol that we put up in Oil Drip this week was about when they have a cough or a respiratory issue. And we gave a recipe of melaleuca or tea tree, whichever one you read it as, and lemon and lavender. So that combination of those three oils, a drop in coconut oil, and rubbing that on their chest and on their back as well. So that's a simple one. And if you have, what's the blend? If you have a certain blend you could use instead of those three oils, what would you use?
I would probably use the Breathe roller bottle, just simply because I have had an experience with, I remember one time we were down at my daughter's, and she had an 18-month-old at the time, and that child was just crying and crying. And she says, Mom, I think she's all congested and then she can't breathe. And so that scares her and she starts crying. And I thought, well, what do I have with me that we could use? And so I got out the Breathe roller bottle. We rubbed it just on her chest. And that child, it was like, she stopped crying immediately. We all just sort of stopped, looked at each other, and it was like, what just happened? I mean, but she did. And so so I left the roller bottle with my daughter, and throughout the night, if the child woke up again crying, she would put that on her chest, and it was just amazing that it just stopped just immediately.
It is. It's fascinating when they work that quickly on little ones, or grown-ups too, but when you can see that relief because you can't hear verbally,
Mm-hmm.
how it's making them feel, if
Right.
that's a good thing.
Right.
So with the little ones, I think the biggest thing to know is that their bodies are so much smaller than ours that they don't need as much oil as we do. So we always do, you know, if it says for an adult 1 or 2 drops of something, you're always going down to probably the 1 drop, and you're putting it into a carrier oil like the fractionated coconut oil to apply that. So with little ones, we're always diluting them. And if it's something that it typically doesn't need diluted, you can always put that on neat, which neat means without coconut oil or one of the carriers. You can always put that on the bottom of their feet, and that's a great place to put oils on them as well. I thought maybe we should also share. I pulled up a list of some of the oils that are considered our warm or hot oils
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
that you definitely probably don't want to use on them when they're infants, to avoid straight or even diluted. You might not want to use these oils either unless it's on the bottom of the feet. But one of the main ones that really stuck out was the peppermint. And I know with my kids, when they were really little, even my youngest, who is almost 10, she still does not like peppermint or even our the deep blue. She does not like either of those minty ones. And I the reason I believe that the little kids react strongly to them, like in a negative way, is because they don't understand the feeling of that menthol when it starts to get cooling. They don't understand if that's a hot sensation, like touching, you know, fire or warm stove or something, or that it scares them. So with the peppermint, you wouldn't want to use that straight. You wouldn't want to put it, definitely not on their face, probably not even on their chest. And even with the breathe, sometimes I have difficulty putting that one on her because she smells it. But I always say, can I please just put it on your back? Or can I put it on your feet? So the peppermint is one you want to be very cautious with. And the bottom of the feet might be a good place if they're very small.
I think we have to listen to our children and what do they like and what do they not like, because they really know and they really have an opinion on it. You know, I might try something and just get used to it, but for a child, they know definitely. There was just the other day, one of my wellness advocates under me, I always do her order, and she needed some oils because she had run out, because one of the little boys that she cares for had went in and he wanted a certain oil. I mean, she's used the oils with these little children from early on, and so they know. And she thought, so she was trying to find out what was the oil he wanted, and he would smell this one and smell this one, and no, that one wasn't it. Well, she finally figured out that it was Serenity. She had run out of Serenity, and she needed to get some more because it seemed like that was the one, if she put on their blankets, you know, at nap time, that was they really liked that. And so I would say children know what they like, and so we just have to listen to them too. So.
Yes, true. And I feel like when you introduce oils to the little ones, they're also very receptive in that it's almost like their bodies are drawn to them, and they know that that's something safe. Like I want to smell it. I want to smell more, and it's just like naturally they know that this is something that I can put on my body or smell, and it's going to make me feel good. And it's very odd. And I feel even when we've had classes where there might even be a teenager there, those teenagers are even drawn to the oils. It's they still, I think, still have it in them where they know that response of smelling something that is so natural. They just automatically know, and they have a security with those things, knowing that, oh, this is good for me. They just naturally are drawn to them, which is really unique to see as an adult, because I think we're so prone to be hesitant on, is that something that is artificial, or, how do like we have all of these safety guards that we've already put up where we have to have the research and we have to know more. Whereas kids are still open to those things, and they haven't been taught, I guess, to safeguard against them right now. So it's really interesting. But here are a few of the oils that are considered our hot oils that you might want to avoid until they're old enough to say, I like that oil, or I don't want to use that oil. They are birch, which is a hard one to get anyhow. Birch, cassia, cinnamon, clove, eucalyptus, ginger, lemongrass, oregano, peppermint, thyme, and wintergreen. Those are all ones we just have to be very cautious with. So other than the breathe, what would be, if you can think of, are there any specific remedies for just everyday ailments that a little kid might have that you can think of that you've seen benefit from?
Well, probably one of the favorites would be the lavender and tea tree and basil, which could be used with their ears, to actually put on the back of their ears. And I also saw and I've always just used the lavender and the tea tree and the basil. And I don't know that it has to be diluted, but it could be diluted, just to rub a drop of each on that ear bone behind the ear. But I also saw, as I was reading and preparing for this, that you could also instead of basil, use heliochrysum. So you could use lavender, tea tree, and heliochrysum.
Yeah.
And heliochrysum is one that now comes in a roller bottle with oil that's diluted. And that's one that we have used ourselves for, now it just slipped me. Yeah, but we
like
have
the
used,
vertigo?
yes, for vertigo. And so I thought, well, that might be an alternative if you don't have basil, if you had heliochrysum, because
Yeah.
And most have lavender, most have tea tree, but that third one, if you don't have basil, heliochrysum is a possibility.
Yeah, I think of heliochrysum as an oil for when you have pain, like if you've had trauma and there's pain, that it helps relieve that feeling of pain. So I think that is what the basil does in that recipe. So that makes sense. So that would be a good alternative, because that's probably the only thing I use basil for, and I try to keep it on hand, especially when we have some sort of earache.
Right.
Yep.
That, and I might occasionally put it in cooking.
Yes.
But yes.
It's true. True. I know a big one as kids are learning to go to the bathroom, the bedwetting. That one, we used cypress for that. We would rub it right on my little ones' tummies as they were learning how to make it through the night and wake up with a dry bed. So it was 1 to 2 drops of cypress. I know we put it on her tummy, but I think we diluted it. And then my book says to put it on the bottoms of the feet. So I think you could do either, as long as the child was okay with that cypress on their bellies. So that one is, that's a big one. Is there another one that you've got?
let's see. Well, I was looking here of things I brought with me. Um, of course, having any of, I like keeping Tamer. That's already a blend, very close for upset stomachs. So that is one. Um, Fever is one we haven't talked about, right?
Nope.
And I think that's a really important thing. So, you know, if I have a fever, sometimes I will put peppermint on the back of my neck. But what do you do when your daughter doesn't like peppermint?
Yeah. Well, for fever,
Mm-hmm.
I know that we also use birch seems a little lighter,
Okay.
so it's not as strong as a peppermint. So we've reached for the birch. And then for fever, I normally combined it with myrrh and lime.
Okay.
So I think too, when it's combined and diluted, it's a little softer on them. But I do love that birch for fever.
Okay. I only received birch one time with my kit free um, convention kit, and so I have hung on to that small little
Mm-hmm.
bottle for a long time. So
Yeah.
so,
Yep.
but
We
so your daughter does not mind peppermint if it's mixed with the lime and the.
Yes. It seems a little softer, not as strong when it's
Okay.
combined with other oils.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And her back, she normally lets me apply to her back as opposed to like on her chest where she can smell it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Get away with that.
Yeah.
Now, I've got another one, and all of these, they're great for kids, but they're also good for grown-ups. Everybody can use these remedies. These are just things that I know as parents that we deal with our kids, right?
Right.
That we don't have to run to the doctor for. These are things that we can take care of at home. Another one is getting them to sleep. Some kids just can't wind down at night. Their parents are ready to wind down and go to bed, but the kids are still going. And there is a roller bottle blend that you can use, and it has 5 different essential oils in it. And these are really good oils for sleep. So this combination would be great for an adult as well. But it's 2 drops of vetiver, 2 drops of cedarwood, 2 drops of patchouli, 2 drops of serenity, and 3 drops of ylang ylang. And then that's all put into a 10 milliliter bottle, and the rest of it is filled with your carrier oil, like your Frection coconut oil.
Okay.
And so that you could put on maybe like a half an hour before they're ready to go to bed, just to get their bodies to kind of realize that it's time to slow down and start to calm down and go on and be able to rest. Was there any others that you had pulled?
Well, one of the things, we have a lot of athletes. Um, in fact, I met a mother the other day, and she was saying, "We're running here. I've got two in this, and I've got another one in this sport," and it was like, whoa, So there's still some, there's football, there's basketball, and there's still some. I think a little bit of softball, baseball still going on, and 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 we've got volleyball, and so what do and so we've got stinky feet for
Oh,
one thing,
yeah.
really stinky feet, and so when I think of the smell, I think of probably putting Purify. Um, in those shoes, even diluting it and spraying it in the shoes. But then what about foot fungus? What do we do there? And so that one I read that basil might be a possibility. And so, I've used basil behind my ears, and I don't use it for a lot of other things, but maybe that's another good thing. And of course, tea tree and on guard. So those would be types of things for fungus. And I will tell you that, well, an adult friend said to me, I got this, I don't know, some kind of a fungus under her arms. She said, and the doctor just said, oh, just change your deodorant. And she said, how many times do I have to change my deodorant? So she decided, she took the spray bottle, the hand sanitizer of On Guard, and she sprayed under her arms. And within 5 days, that fungus was cleared up.
Wow.
Interesting. So, so On Guard is always a possibility. But I think, and there is an On Guard roller bottle that is already diluted. And I think that would be the best possibility if you're going to rub it on children, would be to use because it does have cinnamon in it and it does have clove in it. The ones that you mentioned are hot oils to stay away from unless you dilute. So, but those are possibilities.
Yeah. I think it's smart too if the kids are small, make sure as you're using oils on them to even teach them some safety with the oils. Like, we never put oils in our eyes.
Yes.
Yes, it would burn our eyes. We never put oils in our eyes. We never put them in our ears, just so they know. Because when my girls were little, we had used oils before they were born. So when they got old enough to realize that oils had always been part of their lives. And there would be times when they would just run and get an oil. Someone had fallen and they needed an oil, or someone was upset and they'd go get an oil. But they couldn't read the oils, but they memorized the colors with what they did. So they knew lavender was to help you calm down, and the orange one would make you happy. So they memorized them, even though they couldn't read them. They knew what they did by their colors. So I think it's important to make sure you teach them a little bit, like, we only need a little bit of our oil when we're using it, or, no eyes, no ears, let's not drink it. So
definitely,
those sort of things. Yeah.
But also to teach them, if you do, you are not going to die. It may feel like it is, but you will survive, and you will come out undamaged. It just will hurt. Yeah.
Exactly. So, maybe this one. I've got one more that might be a good one to share too. Now, this time of year, just a blend for a cold. So if you you can use the On Guard. That's a great one for a cold, or to use that every single day on your little ones if they're going to daycare or preschool. You might want to roll that on the bottom of their feet each morning before you put their socks on and their shoes, and before they go to bed, just to keep that immune system up. But if they do get a cold, you can also use 2 drops of your tea tree, a drop of lemon, and then a drop of the On Guard. And you can take that and you can also massage that into the back of their necks, the bottoms of their feet, even up and down their spine. So if they get a cold, those are good ones to use on them.
Definitely.
Yes. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an arsenal for anything that might head your way and your kids' way. Everybody can use these. Just some really, those are some of our basic oils that most people have in their collection. I think the ones that we really talked about, that you can do so many different things with and protect yourself and your family from everyday colds and bumps and all the things that happen in our life. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us for today's oil chat. I know Linda's going to be heading out of town for a couple weeks, so probably just be seeing me on here bringing you a few more tips this month, and then she'll be back in November.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you all very soon.
See you.